behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to welcome everyone to the Indigenous Encounters of Art, Culture and Design 2021. We would like to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all the land that we are on and where I am today in Toronto, covered by Treaty 13, including the Mississauga of the Credit and the Chippewa bands. While we meet today on a virtual platform, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their culture. Hello, everyone. So we are grateful to our speakers, sponsors, supporters, and thanks to everyone, this event is possible. I would like to also thank Mecenazgo Cultural de Buenos Aires, Fundación Itaú, Redes Solidarias, and the Canadian Embassy in Argentina, and Beatriz Ventura, for their continued trust and sponsorship and being innovative during this unprecedented time. Commitments between Argentina and Canada with Indigenous peoples and their communities. I welcome today Marielle Belanger and Anna Urra. Marielle Belanger is Silks from the Okanagan Nation. Marielle is dedicated to contributing to the growth of interdisciplinary arts as a method to engage Indigenous communities. She is a PhD student at York University. Reminders for the People is a screenplay based on Silks Okanagan territory. Mapuche Nation, Anna is from the Mapuche Nation. He lives in Villarrica. By profession, he's a graphic designer and he dedicated to painting and illustrations.
Al artista y muralista Anna Urra para ilustrar 45 imágenes basadas en su película y solicitó también al artista de recuperación de obras, Dr. Sean Brickman, hacer una escultura.
Asking you to please tell us a little bit about this project, Reminders for the People, and why is Reminders for the People a durational performance? Thank you.
Why? Hello.
Hello.
Good to be here today. I'm thankful to be able to be here from my home territory in the Okanagan and showing some of my work that actually explains a lot of this story. So in 2014, 2012, I had met Rodrigo Airedales in Toronto at the Imaginative Film Festival, where we had discovered that there was an issue with language use in international storytelling, and that the Indigenous languages were not being prioritized when it came to co-production agreements. So just by hearing his story about what it was like in Chile and what it was like for us here in Canada, I had came up with this story about what it was like being mixed people in a mixed time, where our differences are because of the language, not because of our actions, that Indigenous people from north to south have a priority on the land that they occupy, and it's because that's what our natural being is. And so from those early explorations and story, I actually was in a car accident that had inspired me to start my master's. And so when I started my master's, I became more aware of Chaptik, animal stories, and the importance of the animals. And when I went to Chile, I had been introduced to animals like the Darwin's fox, and I was following actually the red fox. And if you know the territory, there's red fox from north to south in North America and South America. And so this particular character is represented here as being the messenger, the traveler. That's a self-portrait of myself. And I was in the Southern Territories speaking to artists, not artists, but like regional industry people about the importance of visitor protocol and the importance of us being able to share story without feeling like we're being robbed of our knowledge. And what does it mean to go into community and give and to have that reciprocation happen. So when I was down there, I made sure that I went into community to introduce myself, to volunteer my services in an elementary school. I actually planted natural plants back that were considered umbrella species so that this fox, the Darwin's fox, was able to repopulate the area, because that's what determines the health of the land. And so from those early beginnings, it just didn't stop for me. Once I went back down, I went to the northern part of Chile, where I was introduced to the Aymara people. And I had asked the elders up there, what was your avenue of travel? How did you guys communicate with each other? And the elder said, through the valleys and the water. And that is exactly how we move along the land as well, is we were canoe people. And from where I'm at here, my ancestors were colonized by ranchers and by loggers. And so they became ranchers and loggers, and we lost our canoe culture. So in my recovery practice of myself, through language and story and through embodiment, I had discovered that I was missing a lot. And it was just through this beginning reminders for the people. And that's, the name of the story is about who we are and to continue to remind us of this practice. So that was how the beginnings came.
Fantastic, thank you. Before asking Anna some questions, I would like to share with our audience our virtual tour, which is showing right now at our Lala Contemporary Gallery here in Toronto. And it will at least give them a little bit of an idea of what you're talking about.
Hello, good day. My name is Muriel Belanger. I'm located on the Okanagan Indian Band out in British Columbia, but currently I am transplanted here as an uninvited guest relative of the Huron, Wendat, and the Anishinaabe communities that still exist in this area called Toronto. I'm here to talk to you about this exhibition going on and a bigger project called Reminders for the People. Reminders for the People is a multi-layered project that is both an interactive and digital project that includes film, story, and art. So in this particular exhibition is a Salish and sturgeon nose canoe made by Dr. Sean Brigham of the Spokane tribe down in Washington State. He has recovered this specific canoe because it is specific to our territory. It is the vehicle that we use to transport ourselves, to transport our materials, to build families, to network, to do our entire living and being through the waterways. And this, what had happened was that this particular tree that is needed, a western white pine, was decimated by logging through and the creation of matchsticks. So our vehicle was stolen to burn, literally, they burnt it. Our practices of architectural design were also taken from us at that time. And Dr. Sean Brigham also creates full lodges of like 30 feet high of tule mat lodges. And I had been in these structures, but never in that big of one. So this exhibition is literally about our connection to the land, our networking, and the importance of maintaining connection to our land-based practices. Because for reminders for the people, they're out there on the land. My tupa, my great-grandfather, Joe Abel, literally had said that to an anthropologist, that what's out there on the land is for us Indigenous people to know, and it's our responsibility to go out there and get those things. So in this story, it's about a young boy and a young girl who by chance meet up in a story that part of the story where she has an experience, Robin, she has an experience, and Greg finds her out on the land. And it's by intuition that they're discovering their connections, because he's been displaced from the territory his whole life because his father had gone south and met his mother. And then in the clashes, in the violence, was deported. And that's a story that was recognized by Rodrigo, because that was his story in the 70s. A lot of people were moved. I can't think of what the word is right now. But they were moved and removed from their lands, from Chile at a time where political unrest was disruptive to the people. And so I went specifically to Spokane, to the Columbia River, because the headwaters of the Okanagan, and it goes right to the Pacific Ocean. And the Pacific Ocean is where all of our ancestors gather, north to south. And the Mapucho River is also connected to
Esto tiene que ver con la historia que se conecta a través del río que llega hacia el Océano Pacífico. Cuando estuve en Chile, fui al museo en Santiago.
In that museum was the Columbia River. So that kind of led me to think that there was some connection, that the Mapucho River and the Columbia River were shown on this big map. That means that people know something, there's something. So that was the origins, really, of how it came to be. And I think like this, out here, it's all out here. And then I need somebody, because I mean, like I can do this with paint, but I cannot do what Anner does. And Anner does, he's interpreted my words through Rodrigo. Like, you know, there's like 3 different people that's thinking through this story at any given moment when it comes to trying to understand each other. And the way that we've been able to work, the 3 of us together, has been very supportive. We've been supportive of each other this whole time, and continuing to improve each other's practices, because we're dedicated to that work now.
Fantastic. Thank you, Marielle. That was so wonderful. And what an honor that, you know, I can host that exhibit here in Toronto. This question is for Anner, and I will make it in Spanish just to let the translators know about this. Anner, un placer tenerte acá nuevamente. Gracias por esas ilustraciones maravillosas. Quería preguntarte lo siguiente. ¿Cuál fue el desafío técnico de este proyecto? Sabemos que sos un diseñador gráfico y bueno, que conociste a Marielle. Contá un poquitito, en pocas palabras, tal vez, cuál ha sido tu desafío y tu experiencia, ¿no?
Hola Claudia, hola a todos. Bueno, como dices, en poquitas palabras, ¿cómo describir el desafío de... Yo creo que ha sido una experiencia de intercambio obviamente con sus 2 afluentes y también sus 2, ¿cómo se llama?, contenidos para cada uno, tanto como para Marielle como para mi persona como pintor, dibujante, ¿no es cierto?, ilustrador, es una retroalimentación conjunta. Entonces, yo creo que ese es el desafío, como aprovechar al máximo, creo yo, estas oportunidades que ocurren, porque igual nosotros tenemos la limitante del idioma muchas veces y que nos permita comunicarnos e interpretar el trabajo. Hace a veces difícil las cosas, pero gracias ahí como el apoyo ahí de los amigos. Rodrigo, ponte tú, él ha estado trabajando con nosotros y nos ha ido, ha ido guiando en ese sentido. Pero yo creo que esa es como una de las cosas técnicas, como enfrentarse a eso, como a conversar con personas de otras regiones y, y poder nutrirnos juntos de todas estas historias, porque así ha sido esto igual, toda la ilustración que se logró, el trabajo. Recién estaba mirando la imagen, ¿no es cierto?, el recorrido que se hacía y estaban los dibujos de un tiempo hacia otro en distintas etapas, entonces como que fue una reinterpretación de estos dibujos que se habían hecho ya y ahora están mostrándose todo en línea como si fuera todo en un momento, ¿no es cierto? Pero son procesos distintos y épocas, momentos distintos.
Fantástico, muchísimas gracias, Aner. I would like to share one of Mariel's performances where you can see her in her canoe, her singing, and then maybe Mariel, you can explain a little bit about it. Thank you.
Talk over it. So these are some of the early photos that I had taken. My grandmother is singing in the background, and this is the property that she had discussed and maintained through ranching. And this is my actual wedding dress. It didn't work, and so I am reclaiming it. And in my reclamation, I am remembering who I am as a Syilx woman, undoing the I do, decolonizing the dress with the earth. So my mentor, Dr. Margot Thomas, has been reviving the Lipan Apache women's ceremonies, and I was inspired to do something similar to reclaim this dress, because this dress became a symbol of contemporary Indigenous women and our struggle with colonization, and how we try to put on all of these different layers of self to try to accommodate for the colonizer, for the colonization. And I work a lot with the Chatik, with the animal stories, because they speak to how we are supposed to be conducting ourselves and the characteristics. I work with tules to help with my manic depression. The tule reeds are found around the world, everywhere, and every culture used them for different things. We particularly use them for our architecture, which you saw, and which was a structure of Dr. Sean Brigham's. I have been making smaller versions of those teepees as isolation lodges, because with my mental health, I need to have a structure around me to feel secure in, which I discovered in Toronto I didn't have there. And so I collapse when it comes to my mental health. And these images are actually about reclaiming myself. And this was a process through my master's degree. where I reclaimed items from my past that included set design from St. Cliff Native Theater Company with Barb Marchand and Lynn Phelan, my grandmother's dresses, her yoke, the basketry that she had made, the basketry that I had made, and the hide tanning practice. So the buckskin is a practice that my grandmother maintained in our family, and it was one of the reasons that we were able to stay in touch with culture our whole lives. It was an important trade item, which a lot of our adornments and things like that are about trade. And we would have been trading all kinds of materials from north, south, east, and west, because we were very highly, we had high Okanagan wealth is ultimately. This is a photo from the Testify Collective, where I performed across Canada, and I actually performed in Socorama in southern Chile in Spanish, where I physicalize the undoing by taking the dress off and by putting on the buckskin dress and speaking in my language. This performance is about reminding myself who I am as a person, who I belong to, and what is important to understanding where my positionality is in the world today. And in doing so, I am reflecting as an Indigenous woman. And the story of Indigenous women being stolen is across North and South America. The Indigenous woman was stolen ever since Mercator put her on a map as an indication of something to be controlled.
Las mujeres indígenas han sido robadas, de que fueron puestas en un mapa porque eran un objeto que tenían que ser robados, identificados en los mapas, y desde entonces han sido robados.
Kukuli, which is a pit house that we would live in the wintertime, and where the stories would be told. Wintertime was the time of storytelling. And in 2014, I think it was the same year actually, there was Mount Polly had exploded, and there was heavy metals that flowed right down from Quesnel River to the Pacific Ocean, destroying habitats. And so all of my practice is about getting on the land and to physicalize these gestures of remembering, because it's something that I had learned from my ancestors. These are my relatives. My grandmother, Mary Abel, had raised me in the Okanagan dance troupe with my mother, Hilda Belanger. And we continue our land-based practice of gathering, of hide tanning, and I'm recovering my songs. So in the earlier video, you heard me singing, and that's the Okanagan song that I sang for the first time out loud on the Spokane River. And so that video is very important to my practice, that Dr. Sean Brigham had filmed of me across the river, calling to the village.
Thank you so much, Marielle. That was so wonderful as well. And just to see that whole performance, breathtaking, truly breathtaking. I would like to ask Anner maybe one more question, and it'll be in Spanish again. Anner, no sé si me estás escuchando en este momento. ¿Me escuchas bien, Anner? Perfecto, ahí te escucho.
Sí, perdón.
Anner, quería saber de qué manera se reflejaba el proceso de descolonización en este proyecto o en tu desafío con este proyecto. No tenemos mucho tiempo, pero tal vez si podés en 5 minutitos, te agradezco muchísimo, así puedo despedirme luego.
Sí, mira, creo que el proceso de descolonización, o sea, es un trabajo interno, yo creo, de todas las personas. En mi caso, como pertenecer acá al sur y vivir esta realidad, ¿no es cierto? Es como el replanteamiento, como te paráis frente al mundo igual. O sea, la visión o en mi caso particular, a mí también me está haciendo el eco de poder recuperar el lenguaje original del territorio eh, y cómo ir aprendiendo y entendiendo las ideas y los conceptos de otra manera, ¿no es cierto? De otra forma de ver el universo desde donde uno está parado, ¿no es cierto? Entonces, eso yo creo que es un tema relevante que sucede dentro de uno como persona, como individuo dentro de estas sociedades y, y poder entender cómo son te cambia toda la percepción de la vida. O sea, porque ya un ejemplo que lo estábamos pasando con un profe de lenguaje era la, la diferencia de repente de una palabra a otra que significaba mucho en un territorio y en otro territorio significaba tal vez no lo mismo exactamente, sino que una variante similar, pero con otro sonido. Y entender, por ejemplo, que un cerro, una montaña, son lugares, se ven como un todo, ¿no es cierto? Se le llama ñen a un espacio donde hay vida, o sea, donde hay árboles, hay animales, insectos, está el aire, el viento. Y esa forma creo yo, de ir entendiendo el lenguaje como algo importante, igual como que trasciende, yo creo, te modifica como ser humano, creo que también es parte de la descolonización de la que se habla mucho hoy en día. O sea, eh, el hecho de reconocer tus raíces, de dónde vienes, cómo reconocer a tus ancestros, con todo su dualidad en la energía, ¿no es cierto? Con su positivo y negativo, y pararte frente a eso es como un trabajo súper fuerte igual, porque empezás a descubrir la historia, o sea, y te enfrentas a todo ese tipo de situaciones que te hacen reflexionar, te hacen y te sacan del cotidiano, de esta burbuja que nos han creado como el hecho de que te conviertas en un prototipo, ¿no es cierto? Como un producto de esta sociedad y eso te hace replantearte, ¿no es cierto? Te da como flechas en todas direcciones, como algo nuevo. Perdóname por extenderme.
Perfecto, fue fantástico. Muchísimas gracias por esta experiencia, ¿no? Compartida. Thank you, Marielle, so much for, having shared with us your project that, is so profound and can allow us to see your culture and how it unites both the North and the South.
This is the Spokane River. It was the first time I traveled in the Salish and Sturgeon Nose canoe with Dr. Sean Brigham filming me. And I'm transported to the village where reminders for the people happen and where we come to the shore of our understanding. And this is a very important piece to my practice. It is the crux